Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Matibay. And in this session, you will be learning how to solve quadratic equation by extracting square root. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. Now, let us start with the first method, which is extracting square roots. We can only apply this method if middle term or the linear term is missing, or the value of b is equal to 0 of a quadratic equation. The method of solving the quadratic equation that can be written in the form x squared is equal to k. So, what do you observe, class, in our equation here? X squared is equal to k. Anybody can give his or her observation? Yes, there is no linear term, meaning the value of b here is equal to 0. So this is called extracting square roots. It can be solved by the following properties. First, if k is greater than 0, then x squared is equal to k has two real solutions or roots. So meaning our k here, if our k here is greater than 0, can you give me numbers that are greater than 0, class? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, up to positive infinity. So meaning, if our k here is greater than 0, then it has two real solutions or roots. So x squared is equal to positive and negative the square root of k. Now, let us try to solve this equation. X squared minus 121 is equal to 0. How? First, we will get the additive inverse of negative 121. When we say additive inverse, we will get the opposite of negative 121. And the opposite of negative 121 is positive 121. And we will apply the addition property of equality. We will add positive 121 to the both sides of the equation. So the result is this. X squared minus 121 plus 121 is equal to 0 plus 121. What we're going to do next? Note, please take note, class, that since 121 is greater than 0, then it has two real solutions. Let us proceed by extracting the square root on both sides of the equations. So, we will square both sides of the equation. The square root of x squared is equal to the square root of 121. As you can see, it's only x squared because negative 121 plus 121 is already 0. So the remaining term is the quadratic term x squared. And we square both sides, and that is now the outcome. Now what we're going to do next? Take note, class, that the square root symbol is equivalent to 1/2. Okay? So that you will not be confused when we are going to cancel the square root sign and the exponent of 2. When we say cancel, it doesn't mean that they are already gone. No, we will just eliminate the 2 suddenly. But what we did is we multiply the equivalent of square root, which is 1/2, to the exponent of 2. So 1/2 times 2 is equal to 1. That's why our resulting term is x, because x has an exponent of 1 here, is equal to the positive and negative. What is the square root of 121? Of course, 11, because 11 times 11 is 121. So therefore, the roots of the equations are 11 and negative 11. Now let us try to check our solutions if they are correct. To check, let us substitute the values in the original equation. Let us solve for x is equal to 11. So x squared minus 121 is equal to 0. So we will replace the value of x here, which is 11. So 11 times 11, that is 121. 121 minus 121 is equal to 0. Since both of the equations are 0, so positive 11 is the solution of the equation x squared minus 121 is equal to 0. Now let us proceed to if our x is equal to negative 11. So same process, we will replace the value of x to negative 11. So negative 11 raised to 2 minus 121 is equal to 0. So negative 11 raised to 2, that is negative 11 times negative 11, that is 121. Minus 121 is equal to 0. So since both of these numbers are 0, meaning negative 11 is the solution. Now let's proceed to our second property. The second property of solving quadratic equation by extracting square root is if k is equal to 0, then x squared is equal to k has one real solution or root, and that is x is equal to 0. So meaning if our k here is equal to 0, then our solution is 0. So let us try to have this example. X squared plus 10 is equal to 10. So same process, we will get the opposite of positive 10 and add both sides to the equation. So the result is x squared, because 10 minus 10 is already 0. So the remaining term is the quadratic term x squared is equal to 10 minus 10 is equal to 0. So since x squared is equal to 0, then it has one real solution. And to solve that, we will extract both sides of the equation. We will square both sides. So we will cancel now the radical symbol and the exponent 2. So x is equal to 0 because the square root of 0 is 0. Why? 0 times 0? 0. Now let us check if 0 is the solution to the equation x squared plus 10 is equal to 10. So same process, we will replace the value of x by 0. So 0 times 0, 0. 0 plus 10, 10. So are they equal? Yes. So therefore 0 is the solution to the equation x squared plus 10 is equal to 10. Now let's proceed to our third property, which is if k is less than 0, then x squared is equal to k has no real solutions or roots. So what are numbers less than 0, class? Can you tell me what are the numbers that are less than 0? Yes, the negative numbers. Negative 1, negative 2, so on and so forth up to the negative infinity. Now, let's take this example again. X squared plus 9 is equal to 5. So we will get the opposite of positive 9 to isolate the quadratic term. Always remember that the quadratic term should be in the left side of the equation and the constant term is in the right side of the equation. So we will subtract 9 minus 9, that is already 0. So the remaining term is the quadratic term. And then we will subtract 5 minus 9, and that is negative 4. So since negative 4 is less than 0, then it has no real solutions. You can write no real solutions to your answer. But we need to apply the square root property. So we will going to square both sides of the equation x squared is equal to negative 4. So look at the example here. So we will cancel now the radical symbol and the 2, and that is the remaining value is x is equal to positive and minus the square root of 4. So as you can see, our 4 here is negative. So we will factor the negative 4. Since we know that 4 is a perfect root, so we can factor it by 4 and negative 1, because 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So, what is the square root of 4, class? 2. And take note that the square root of negative 1, this is our imaginary roots. We will replace this square root of negative 1 as imaginary roots. And we will write it beside the number 2. So, we will not check this anymore because we know that this is not a solution. Okay? That this equation has no solution. Now, let us proceed to our next example. 3x squared minus 36 is equal to 0. What do you observe, class? In our example, 3x squared is equal to 36. How are we going to solve this? We will apply the multiplication property of addition. We are going to divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient, the numerical coefficient of x squared. So 3 divided by 3, that is 1. That's why the quadratic term x squared will be the remaining term. Is equal to 36 divided by 3, that is 12. As you can see here, 12. So we can now take the square root of both sides. So square root of x squared is equal to the square root of 12. So we will cancel the square root symbol and the exponent 2 because it's already 1. If we're going to multiply 1/2 times 2, that is 1. So our remaining term here is x is equal to the positive and negative square root of 12. Now, what is the square root of 12? So since the square root of 12, since 12 is not a perfect root, we will think of a factors of 12 that has a perfect root. And what are the factors of 12 that has a perfect root? Can you give me one? Can you give me two rather? Two factors that if you're going to multiply, it will gives you 12. Okay, the first one is, yes, 1 times 12. 6 times 2. But 6 and 2 are not a perfect square. Only 4 times 3. So therefore, the factor of 12 that has a perfect root is are 4 times 3. 4 and 3. So therefore, we can get now the square root of 4. What is the square root of 4, class? 2. And the remaining number that is inside the parenthesis, that is inside the radical sign is 3. Why? Because it's not a perfect root. So our result now is our solution of the equation 3x squared minus 36 is equal to 0. It has two solutions, the positive and the negative to square root of 3. Okay, did you get it, class? So in this problem, we're going to solve 4x squared minus 81 is equal to 0. Same process. We will get the opposite of negative 81 and add both sides to the equation. So 4x squared minus 81 plus 81 is equal to 0 plus 81. Then what's next? So the remaining term is 4x squared is equal to 81. Then divide both sides by the coefficient of 4 using the multiplication property of equality. And then the remaining terms are x squared is equal to 81 over 4. So we will not divide 81 over 4 because as you can see, as you observe, The numbers are perfect. What? Perfect squares. Okay, because we have the square root of 81, which is 9, and the square root of 4, which is 2. So, we will square both sides of the equation, and the result is a square root property. X is equal to positive and negative. The square root of 81, 9, and the square root of 4 is 2. We have a fraction. Okay? So, the roots are the positive 9 over 2 and the negative 9 over 2. Okay, now let us check if negative 9 over 2 is the solution of the equation 4x squared minus 81 is equal to 0, where x is equal to negative 9 over 2. Same process, we will replace the value of x into negative 9 over 2. Okay, so 4 times, replace x by negative 9 over 2 raised to 2 minus 81 is equal to 0. So what you're going to do first, we will solve, of course, those who has exponent. So 4 times negative 9 times negative 9, that is positive 81. And 2 times 2 is 4. So therefore, our answer now is, since 4 can be divided by 4, we can use the cancellation method. Okay, so we will cancel this one. So the remaining number is 81 minus 81 is equal to 0. Is 81 minus 81 is equal to 0? Yes, so 0 is equal to 0. Since they are both equal to 0, meaning negative 9 over 2 is the solution of the equation 4x squared minus 81 is equal to 0. I hope is it clear to you, class? Okay, let us try to solve or to check our two roots if they are the real roots of the equation 4x squared minus 21 is equal to 8. Here's how. So 4x squared minus 81 is equal to 0. When our x is equal to positive 9 over 2. So it's very easy. All you have to do is substitute the value of x into 9 over 2. So it becomes 4 times the quantity of 9 over 2 raised to 2 minus 81 is equal to 0. So what you're going to do now? Of course, we will simplify this one first. What is 9 over 2 raised to 2? So 4 times, what is 9 times 9? That is 81. And 2 times 2, that is 4. Minus 81 is equal to 0. So what happens next? It's very clear in our example. So, since 4 can be divided by 4, we can divide this 1. So, it becomes 1. 81 divided by 1, that is 81 minus 81. So, 81 minus 81, 0 is equal to 0. Therefore, they are both equal, meaning 9 over 2 is the solution of the equation 4x squared. 4x squared is equal to 81. So it's very clear, class. And now let us proceed to the next example. I guess this is our final example. I want you to observe the given example, class. So we have now the quantity of x minus 1 raised to the power of 2 is equal to 36. So how are we going to solve this? We will extract the square root on both sides of the equation. So the square root of the quantity of x minus 1 raised to 2 is equal to the positive and negative 36. Cancel the square root sign and exponent. So the remaining term is x minus 1 is equal to positive and negative 6, because the square root of 36 is 6. So what we're going to do next? Of course, we will apply the addition property. We will get the opposite of negative 1 and add both sides to the equation. And the resulting equation is x is equal to, since 6 here is positive and negative, so we will solve if our x here is equal to positive 6 plus 1, and the other x or the other solution is equal to negative 6 plus 1. And voila! Solutions 7 and negative 5. So for checking, we will try to check the value or the solution, which is 7. So for x is equal to 7, so the quantity of x minus 1 squared is equal to 36. We will replace the value of 7 by the value of x by 7 rather. So 7 minus 1 raised to 2 is equal to 36. So 7 minus 1, 6. Then 6 times 6 is equal to 36. So meaning they are equal. So meaning 7 is the solution to the equation. The quantity of x minus 1 is equal to 36. Now you can solve your module solving quadratic equation by extracting square root. That's all for this session. Have fun in learning, everyone.